Experiment time. Getting gummy bread is what sourdough bakers dread the most, but what causes it? Well, I have some ideas and I'd like to try them out. If this video does well, I will try all of your ideas to explore the causes. Let's get gummy. Hi, I'm Sune, and I'm not just a food enthusiast, I'm a full-blown food geek. I'm here to share my passion and knowledge with you. Today's experiment will determine whether total baking time is a factor. I will bake the loaves for 30 minutes, 35 minutes, 40 minutes, and 50 minutes. I usually bake for 50 minutes, so that will be my control. To maximize the probability of getting gummy bread, I will cut each loaf right out of the oven. The dough is my standard experiment dough, 80% bread flour, 20% rye flour, 20% starter, 2% salt, and 80% hydration. I'm foregoing the stretch and folds in the newer experiment videos since it has no effect on the final bread. You can see a difference in the dough as you pre-shape it, but the gluten development is there, so it just takes a bit of extra pre-shaping. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider joining my Patreon. You can also buy some merch, use the super thanks, or use the links for tools and ingredients in the description. Those were the words. This is the experiment.
This is an experiment, not a recipe. My master recipe for sourdough bread is linked in the description. Let me go over how I perform this experiment. First, I mix the dough for all the loaves. Then I sprayed the proofing container with baking spray. And added the entire dough. And I put it in my proofer set to 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit. When the dough had risen to 25%, I divided it into 4 equally sized pieces. I pre-shaped each piece into a round. After 20 minutes of rest on the counter, I shaped each loaf into a retard. Then I put them in the fridge for around 8 hours. I heated my oven to 230 degrees Celsius, 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Usually I use a 2-stage baking technique, steaming one loaf while browning another. This cuts the total baking time almost in half, but since I'm explicitly testing baking time, I'll bake them sequentially. When the oven is hot, I prepare the loaf I will bake for 50 minutes. I dust the bottom with rice flour to help it easily slide off the peel. I flip it onto the peel. I score it. And then I bake it for 25 minutes. I then remove the lid and bake for another 25 minutes. I take it out of the oven and cut it immediately. Then I prepare the 40-minute loaf. Dust it. Flip it. Score it. Bake it for 20 minutes. I remove the lid and bake for another 20 minutes. Then I take it out of the oven and cut it right away. I prepare the 35-minute loaf, dust it, flip it, score it, and bake it for 20 minutes. I remove the lid and bake for 15 minutes. I take it out of the oven and cut it then and there. Then I prepare the 30-minute loaf. Dust it, flip it, score it, bake it for 15 minutes. I remove the lid and bake for another 15 minutes. Then I take it out of the oven and cut it immediately. Alright, let's look at each of these loaves. This one looks nice. Moist crumb, crunchy. Smells great. This one looks the same as the previous one. Nice moisture. Yeah, it's good. This one looks a bit gummy. I don't know if I feel any difference in the moisture. Smells nice though. Okay, this one is gummy, no doubt about it. Smells nice too. After having looked at that, I decided to slice up each loaf and take a look. If you just look over them, they're all under fermented, not by a lot. 25% was too little today. Interestingly enough, none of them are gummy. To my knowledge, the only thing that causes gummy bread is if it's severely under-fermented or the starter's not ready for baking yet. Alright, let me taste each of these. Delicious sourdough bread. Chewy crumb, crispy crust. As expected, there's no difference between this and the 50-minute bread. Obviously, there's a textural difference because of the tighter crumb, but otherwise it is the same. This one is comparable to the 35-minute bread. No gumminess at all.
Okay, so if you bake a short amount of time, the bread will get gummy on the cut if you cut it while it's warm, but the rest of the bread is just fine. If you want to cut your bread while it's warm, bake for at least 40 minutes and you avoid any gumminess. I'm convinced the required baking time will increase if you have a higher hydration though. Let me know in the comments what other ideas you have for experiments that can cause gummy bread. I hope you learned something today. See you next time.